died at the age of 80. The South London-born musician also played with Blind Faith, Hawkwind and Fela Kuti in a long and varied career. A message on Ginger's Twitter account said that he passed away peacefully in hospital this morning. Well, Matt Everett is presenter of BBC Six Music and also a former drummer, and he told me earlier how Ginger Baker was an astonishing drummer whose health had been suffering for a while.
It's tragic. I mean, we did expect this. Ginger had been very ill of late and had suffered ill health for quite a long time. He had issues with quite a long time, heroin addiction that he never really quite, in terms of health, overcome. So it's sad, but not entirely unexpected, but a tragedy for the world of drumming nonetheless.
Yeah, he was described as a turbulent drummer. Why is that?
The two sides of Ginger Baker was this incredibly talented percussionist, drummer, visionary in terms of the way that he played the drums, and this very, very difficult human being. And the two things were kind of interwoven. There'll be many people that be mourning his loss as a musician and probably quite relieved that they never have to work with him again, to be totally frank. I mean, his background, although he became famous initially through playing jazz with rock bands, as you said, like Cream, his background was in jazz music, and one of his two great legacies was the way that he brought the attitude, the virtuosity, the improvisational nature of jazz and brought it into rock music. No one ever had done that or even done it anything close to with the skill that Ginger managed to do. There was a free-form nature to his playing. There was a feel and a rhythm and a character that no one else really had. There's very few drummers that can say that, be that Keith Moon maybe or Ringo Starr. There wasn't anyone that sounded like Ginger at all. So that was one of his great things, was to bring the world of jazz into the world of rock in this incredibly flamboyant and incendiary way. But he was a very, very difficult man, and Cream had a very short life as a band, barely 18 months. And a lot of that was down to the fact that he was difficult to get on with, I think it's fair to say. That was one of his defining characteristics. There's a documentary called Beware of Mr. Baker that was made a few years ago. And the documentary maker goes to go and find him and finds this pretty gnarly character, I think it's fair to say.
And what were his reflections on his fame? Did he ever talk about that?
He had a lot. He disregarded a lot of other drummers as being not as good as him, and in most cases he was right. He had a sort of a grudging respect for many of the musicians that he played with, but certainly didn't tell them a lot about it. The other interesting thing that he did, if you're sort of trying to find out more about his legacy, he was one of the first Western musicians to go over to Africa. He went to Lagos, moved to Lagos to start playing with musicians there, most famously Fela Kuti, incredibly iconic and pioneering musician who was responsible for the Afrobeat movement. And Ginger's thing was, if you're into drums and you're into rhythm, then go to the source, go back to Africa. So he did some incredible work and some incredible recordings over there, and had a passion for that music. Also had a passion for polo horses. Spent a lot of the money he earned on horses, and got done out a lot of money by some very bad business moves and some bad agents and people across the years as well. Maybe that was one of the things that contributed to his slightly grumpy nature. It's a lot to say that he didn't have a good word to say for anyone. That's not quite true, but you'd be hard-pushed to find people that he'd enthused about.
Very quickly, Matt, most people will know him as co-founder of Cream. How was that time in the band and his relationship with Eric?
Him and Eric, I think he even wants to call Eric Clapton his best friend, and even then they had a very turbulent relationship. With Jack Bruce from the band as well. They rubbed against together enormously, but then again you had three exceptional musicians, each of them pulling in different directions, bringing these incredible ideas to the handful of records that they did. And sometimes talent is about those characters. That's not excusing his behaviour as a difficult man to work with, but he couldn't be contained within the confines of a band for very long. So maybe I guess we should just be lucky that he recorded the amazing records that he did.
Matt Everett there. Now more